Hey everybody, and welcome to another game show with James and Ed, or Crazy Riggs and his ever-increasing gamer score, and the first bat with a very slowly increasing gamer score. Still playing Red Dead Redemption, but we're just going to shoot the breeze about games, and particularly really exciting news that Nintendo are re-releasing the NES recently. So we'll chat about that amongst other gaming news. It's Comic-Con at the moment, so there's all sorts of stuff coming out. I think E3's obviously been and gone, but there's stuff like Gamescom coming up and stuff like that. So we'll just chat like we normally do about games and hopefully talk about some things that you're interested in. And if you're not, well, so be it. That's okay. But we try. So what do you think about this new introduction by Nintendo bringing a HDMI NES? I think it's got something like 30 games.
It's got 30 games on it. Won't connect to the internet. So
it's pre-installed only.
Yeah.
Are they going to release any cartridges at all, or is it just the 30 games and that's it?
I'm not sure. I think it's like, you used to get like the mini Mega Drives.
Yeah.
It's similar. I think it might be a little bit of a similar concept to that. Thing is, I think some of them now miss a little bit of a trick, because really and truthfully, on the Wii and the Wii U, you had the virtual console.
Yeah.
So you could download a few of the old retro games. You'd think nowadays they'd be able to say, well, I mean, you got your phone, you can have apps, on your TV. Quite a few of them would go, like Nintendo would say, all right, I'll tell you what we'll do, we'll come up with an app. What you do, you go in, purchase the app code. So what you could do, it'd be a weird way of doing it, because you could go and get the app off a TV or on your phone. What you could do is you could go into game and you could buy a pack.
Yeah.
And with that pack comes a controller, which has been specifically designed to play NES, SNES, N64 games.
Yeah.
And you just basically go in, and it's just got the entire back catalogue of games, and you just pay £1 or £2 for them. Because the thing is, when you think about it, you're not going to want to play every retro game that's ever been released. But
what are you talking about? I want to play E.T. by Atari from 1984.
Really? You do you know what? I played E.T. My mate had E.T.
Yeah.
That game made no sense whatsoever. But, as a kid, you still played it. It wasn't like nowadays, you buy a game, you put it in your console, 5 minutes out, this is rubbish, and you just don't play it again. Back then, because they were so expensive, you played it, even if it made no sense.
Well, the thing is I don't know if you... I'm sorry to just take you off topic briefly. I don't know if you... Did you watch the Atari excavation documentary?
Yeah, I saw a little bit of it.
So I thought it was a really interesting story, and I think a lot of people have sort of revisited the game and said actually it's not as bad as people first said. And considering the fact that the guy who made the game did it in I think he did it in 4 weeks or something like that. Yeah,
because they needed it for the run up for Christmas, wasn't it? Yeah. Or something like that, and they basically just plodded something together.
But they said the basic game structure is actually pretty smart and pretty innovative. But of course it had no bearing on the movie E.T. But you just thought, well, fair play.
I think that's the thing, because it's obviously just saying, for downloading games, you look at E.T., what would it be? 1.5 megabytes, 2 megabytes? And that's the thing, I think a lot of them miss a trick, because you could your back catalogue would not take up that much memory on a lot of consoles.
No.
Or even in the cloud, or anywhere where you could download them from. And if you look at the apps marketplace,
yeah,
a lot of the games that are on there are actually reimagined versions of games that have already come and gone. So I think there would be a market for, I mean, you know, I'd love to play Super Mario again, Super Mario 3. Love to play Landstalker again. I know you'd love to play Ranger X again.
I certainly would. I'm also particularly very keen to replay, or at least have a new version of Forgotten Worlds. That'd be really, really good. But I think it goes to show, doesn't it? It's a big market for retro games. There's a lot of people investing a lot of time into it. There's a Spectrum that you can get from Amazon, which is pre-installed with a load of games. I downloaded an app for my iPhone that has a number of pre-installed Spectrum games on there. And you just kind of think, well, I don't quite understand if Nintendo aren't opening it up to internet access. I think they're missing a bit of a trick, because, as you say, you should have a library on there where you can just tap into those titles, because it's not a complete title list. There are going to be some games that are missing from there. You think, wow, I'd really like to play that. Where is it?
I think as well, what you do find, I mean, it's like the Sega Mega Drive collection on Xbox 360, PlayStation 3. Had some good games on it, had some rubbish on there, but the thing is, they sort of go to you, right, these are the games that you're going to play, instead of giving you the option to play the games that you want to play. Because obviously, I mean, how many times have you seen on one of the consoles RoboCop versus Terminator? None.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a big game at the time. There was a lot of controversy about some of the things that happened in it. But obviously...
But you get Altered Beast all the time. How can you be disappointed when you get Altered Beast?
That game is so frustrating. And once you've completed it about 10 times, it is, you know, rise from the grave. It does do you Sweden. But in the same breath, I mean, like we've discussed before, I mean, you've got Mario and Sonic. They are classics. People do love playing them. But I think they don't utilise or even bring back some of the classics that really that inspired a lot of the modern gaming. It's like you said, Forgotten Worlds, and I mean, you've got like a lot of the shooters, like Super Metroid and things, paved the way for a lot of the science fiction games and shooter games that you've got now. Crazy weapons, freeze rays, and all sorts of things like that. But no, I'd like to see someone take the plunge. I mean, it's dependent upon what the Nintendo NX is going to be like.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, apparently that's going back to a cartridge-based system.
Yeah.
So, will they... Is it a console where they're going to say, here's your console, get brand new NX games, there you go, you want to play a 3DS game, plug it in. You want to play a DS game, plug it in. You want to play a Nintendo game, go to the marketplace, they'll all be there.
Yeah, I think physical copies are important to a point, but I think if it's at the right price, why? If it's at the right price, why would I want to spend loads and loads of money on something that I can get digitally.
Yeah.
So I think this is part of the challenge. I can understand why the Nintendo are thinking about going back to cartridge, because cartridge is instant load. There's no delay on loading times, and they shouldn't really be on any console game anymore.
Well, that's the thing I do find, and I am a little bit disappointed with modern consoles. You pre-install the game to reduce the load times, but the load times are still there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you might get better quality of game, and I think it is like you said. You know, you've got the load times down instantaneous with cartridges, but you are right. It is the pricing structure, because I mean, anybody who wants to buy a digital game, that's entirely up to them. So I know a lot of people like digital games, but for me, why would I pay? You know, I go to the Xbox Live Marketplace, and I looked the other day. Doom was $54.99. You get no box. You get online instructions. You cannot trade it in. So it's got no value. Yeah, I went into a game store and you could buy it brand spanking new for $24.99. And if I finished it, I would have something that I could trade in. Now,
yeah.
I understand the trade-in market does affect the games industry, but I think if the games industry looked at it and got the digital pricing right, people wouldn't be... Because I really begrudge paying 55 quid for something that once I have completed it, I have lost 55 quid. Because really and truthfully, what other market is there that you cannot trade something in? The only ones you can get are music downloads.
Yeah.
But they're cheap. Really and truthfully, they're pretty cheap. But the thing is, you can burn them to disc. You can put them in your car. You can put them on your iPod. 79 pence for a track. And generally speaking, music is one of those things you listen to, and you might not listen to that song for a long time, and then it's sparked in your head and you've got it.
Yeah.
Movies. You can download a lot of movies. But that in there is the other thing. I mean, you download it. They're not vastly overpriced. I mean, if you look at some of the stores, you wait for the sales, they're like 3-4 quid for a movie. Get to keep it forever, it's on there. So you've got Blinkbox. But also, I mean, because you've got Netflix and LoveFilm, you don't really need to do that. You just have to wait. Even with Sky, you just wait and you watch it. But for me, paying 50 quid for a game digitally that, like I said, once I've completed it, maybe got most of the achievements if they're attainable, I might not ever go back to that game, because obviously games nowadays don't have the playability that a lot of the games that were, like we were saying, Mario, Sonic and things like that had.
Yeah.
So I know it's a difficult thing, but...
And what are you looking forward to? What sort of games are you looking forward to? Because Christmas tends to be the big time of year, but what sort of titles are you looking forward to?
I am looking forward to Titanfall 2.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yeah.
So I really like to look at that. Definitely looking forward to Deus Ex.
Is it Revolution this time?
Yeah.
Or?
Because that looks really good. One game which is coming out next year, I definitely... Well, actually, there's 2 games coming out next year I definitely want. Crackdown 3.
Yeah.
And Tekken 7. just because I'm a big Tekken fan. I mean, they've strayed a bit over the years, the Tekken games have, but they're still fun to play. I try not to. I do play franchised games, but to be honest with you, franchise games do disappoint me a little bit, because you pay a lot for the game. You have good games, bad games. I mean, it's like COD. There's some great COD games, but they're very, very samey.
Yeah.
So obviously, I mean, you'll always have fanboys, and I don't blame them. I mean, if they're really good at the games, then play the games that you enjoy. I could never say to somebody, well, just because you like COD, you're just a boring gamer. No, because I mean, we played Call of Duty 2 and Call of Duty Modern Warfare for quite a long time.
Oh yeah, months.
What was there's one more as well. Was it the E3 this year? No, I saw. The remake of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Just because it's one of my favourite RPGs, was the original Final Fantasy VII. What about you? Is there any you're looking particularly forward to?
I'm looking forward to Crackdown. I was hoping for another Red Dead, because I like Red Dead Revolver a lot.
That was a brilliant game.
I think it was a nice hybrid of Japanese Capcom bonkersness and Rockstar refinement, which really helped the game. But I think for me, I really enjoyed Crackdown. I'm looking forward to that a huge amount. I happily play Tekken. It's got the pick up and play ability that I think Street Fighter has lost. I think the reason why is that Street Fighter has become a bit more...
It's very technical.
It's become too technical. It's, in my opinion...
Well, I think that's the thing with any fighting game, really, isn't it? I mean, it's like you said, Tekken's got pick-up playability. Street Fighter used to have pick-up and playability. I mean, really and truthfully, Street Fighter games, I suck. I mean, I know you were a master of Street Fighter 2. You really loved the Alpha series, some of that.
Yeah, I did.
And I think what you had is, it's like you said, you could... Because some of the moves, they were hard to pull off, but in the same sense, they were basic moves, and you just pushed back to block, so you could block easy enough and pull off some special moves. So if you didn't play it for a week, when you went back, you could do it. But now, because you've got all these super combos and all sorts of stuff like that, and you got to do a string of 30, 40 button pushes to pull off something, that in a way you do get gypped, because obviously when you pick a difficulty setting, you know, you can put it on normal and it'll probably be just as good as you. When you put it on, you want a bit of a challenge, the harder difficulties, they can pull off the 50-hit combos and you just get wasted in 10 seconds. But it is like you said, you know, they have lost their playability in a bit. Is there any other games you're looking forward to?
I'm trying to think now. What else is coming out that I think is worth a look at? I'm struggling really because
Well, I don't think there was as many games at E3 this year, was there? As there have been.
no, I think if anything, I'm looking. I think the one title that I possibly could be interested in, if it's as good as it potentially is, would be Resident Evil 7. I think it looks different. It's not trying to be an action film like Resident Evil 5 in particular suffered from. What else? I'll have to have a quick look.
Oh, I think a little bit as well. Now, I can understand games take a massive amount of time and money to produce. But with a lot of games, they are marred by delays that much now. That by the time, I mean, a couple of the games that we wanted took that long to come out. You'd actually forgotten that they were being released. I mean, Watch Dogs 2 looks a bit better than the original Watch Dogs, and I think they didn't. The potential of that was so great, but it just let it down. I mean, another one I'll be honest, which I'm looking forward to, but that's not coming out till next year, is Ghost Recon Wildlands.
Yeah.
So I do like my shooting games, but in the same breath, I would, I'd like to see somebody come up with something just a little bit different. I mean, to be honest with you, you know what we both want, and it's unfortunately never going to happen. We want a Bulletstorm 2.
Yeah.
Because Bulletstorm was brilliant. Right amount of humour, great weaponry, funny story. Didn't have to make overly too much sense, but it was just a good, fun game to play.
Totally. I mean, let's have a look. So, I've got a list here of games that are still due out in 2016. Some I've heard of, some I haven't, so I'm just going to skip on to... I'm just going to focus on the AAA titles. So to start with, as I said before, Deus Ex, but I got the title wrong, not you, Ed. So that's Deus Ex Mankind Divided, and that's due out at the end of August. There's Batman: A Telltale game series due out in August, which could be interesting.
Telltale games are very good.
They are.
I really liked The Wolf Among Us. And what was that? Is it
The Walking Dead.
The Walking Dead series, yeah, because they are making a third Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Now.
If you are a Wii U owner, then there's Paper Mario, Gears of War 4.
I'm interested by Gears of War 4, but hopefully I was let down by Judgment. It was a fun game to play, but obviously it wasn't quite the mark of Gears.
3.
Yeah, 3 and the original. And I think, for me, what Gears is about now, as well, what they do miss is the Horde mode, because you could work together co-op. It was a great thing.
Yeah. A couple of other titles I would probably be interested in are... let's go back. I could definitely be interested in Forza Horizon 3, because I do like my driving games. I could definitely play... I've lost it again. Dead Rising 4, and South Park: The Fractured But Whole, because it's not only is that a genius title, The Fractured But Whole. The Stick of Truth was a great swan song for 360. It's just really, really good. A game that you showed me the trailer for, Ed, potentially should be due out this year, Friday the 13th. And then a lot of The Walking Dead Season 3 is due out this year too, which we just mentioned by Telltale. I could be interested in that. I really enjoyed it. The challenge I have with The Walking Dead is the same as I have with the TV series, is that eventually it gets so relentlessly depressing because there's no real win.
Yeah.
It gets a little bit dull. But let's see. What about Pokemon Go? Have you played any Pokemon Go?
I've had a quick look at Pokemon Go. Not really my cup of tea. I think it's a brilliant idea because it gets kids out and about doing stuff, but it also highlights the stupidity of mankind. People, falling off cliffs trying to catch Pokemon. People getting run over by cars because they're looking at a Pokemon, not looking where they're going. I know it's got some serious server issues at times, but I think it's really, really clever. I mean, you've got, things that kids love. Pokemon and video games. Gets them out. But for me, I've seen a lot of people playing it. I went to Morrison's. There was a kid outside the front doors trying to catch a Pokemon. You still got to have the respect for the people that are there. But, I suppose it's like everything. You just can't cater for everybody. But I think it'll bring out quite a few, other interesting games.
Yeah, there's no danger. It's a massive potential game changer. I myself have played Pokemon Go quite a bit. Really like it. I'm currently level 6. My first Pokemon that I caught was Bulbasaur. I've not yet come across Charizard yet, who I believe, and I'm sure that there'll be some people out there who know this better than I, is the most powerful of all Pokemon.
Have you got a Caterpie?
No, I've got a
Tweedle?
lot. I've got a Tweedle. I've got a lot of Rattatas. They are very, very common. I've got a Pidgeot or whatever they're called. Yeah. And I did. There was the shape of a Pikachu around, but I couldn't find it.
Well, if anybody who's playing Pokemon, there was a glitch. Don't know if it's still there. But when you go to catch your first Pokemon, if you reject it 3 times, Pikachu turns up and you can catch him straight from the start. Otherwise, you have to wait to find him. It was just on one of these sites I was looking at, and somebody said he didn't quite understand what was going on, and he kept turning it down because he didn't want his Pokemon. He wanted another one, and he rejected it 3 times, and Pikachu turned up, so he had that as his starting Pokemon. Which is interesting.
I choose you.
But I do know what I think is quite good is they're going to do an update, and in that update you'll be able to trade. So you'll be able to trade with other people Pokemon that you haven't caught, which I think is a good idea, because obviously I think microtransactions can be one of those things. It's dangerous ground, because obviously people can get addicted and they can spend way too much money.
Yeah.
So if you've got to buy the Pokemon, people can, people spend hundreds of pounds. But if you can trade, that also brings in better social interaction. Because you can just say,
Yeah, I mean, if you're prepared, if you're near Pokestops, you can leave traps and modules around, and it does encourage it. But you have to put your hand in your pocket to get some stuff, like the incense you need to attract Pokemon to you.
Right, how do I change to my rifle?
Just press the left bumper, hold it. I think that's it, and then you can just choose it. Oh, you can't, you've got to do it with a pistol.
Not difficult to say, but he will do it standing on this very stage at a remarkable, the eyesight of an eagle, granted by Dr. West's own happy time. Anybody can make that shot. This man is a fraud. Your eyes so damn sharp, why don't you try to shoot my hand out of the air? My friends, our test case has been challenged.
You might want to, I can't remember which it is to do Deadeye. So you might want to press the back button just to give you an idea about which one it is. Oh, I won't let you do it. I know, because it said cut sequence.
Here it comes.
It's probably under game, isn't it? Or is it under options? Yeah, it's under options. Trolls. Second one down.
Deadeye. Is that the right?
Click it, yeah. Click the right.
Yeah. Power of looking up the instructions because you can't remember the buttons.
A challenge of battle has been offered to our volunteers. Let the battle commence.
Y to ground and pound.
Come on, show me some. The power of an arrow. There it is. Skeptics and dissenters, irreproachable.
Not know who was messing with.
Do not let this opportunity pass you by. Watch out! Gotta go! Marvelous shot, dear boy. The kind of deadly accuracy that can only be afforded by the
So obviously this is Backwood County because obviously you just shot his hat out the air, you beat him up, and he decided he was still going to draw a gun on you.
Yeah. I like that. Well, it won't hurt to try one bottle, I suppose.
My normal job involved either chasing after cattle or murderers. Nothing like you, mister. Don't be like that. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'd like to say my goodbyes and head on back to the real world. Wait, sir. I've been thinking about your predicament, and I think I may have an idea. I've been thinking I could be your cunning Odysseus. Beware of the Greeks burying gifts, sir. The Williamson had better beware. They will make them into Trojans. I don't rightly get you. But you will
Don't
see.
rightly get you. You can definitely tell this has got very sort of Clint Eastwoody sort of Pale Rider, Good, the Bad and the Ugly feel to it.
Definitely spaghetti western influenced. Big time.
Get those gates to open.
is probably more outlaw Josie Wales, though, isn't
Yeah,
he? than his
definitely.
approach, which is an epic western if you've never seen it.
Yeah, that is definitely one quality western, and the other one as well, Unforgiven.
Yeah, Unforgiven is a great film. Really good film. So, thanks for listening to this little game special. Hope you've enjoyed it. Ed and I, all being well, will be back with you next week. Until then, we'll see you later.
Good night.